Hi, this is Chad Allen from Book Proposal Academy. Welcome back. Thank you so much for the interaction on the first video. We talked about how to come up with a great book concept, and I was thrilled to read your comments and your ideas about your book concepts. In this video, I want to talk about why you should think about writing a book proposal and how to do it. So as I've worked with authors, as I've polled people on my blog and asked them the question, what's your number one obstacle with writing your book? The response I get back more than anything else is, I'm having trouble getting started. People have trouble getting started. They have some random ideas, some scattered thoughts, but how do you really make progress toward actually writing a book? Well, in my experience, the best way to start writing a book is to write a book proposal. It's going to help you get so much clarity on your concept, on your bio, on your marketing, and so on. So I'm going to take you through every step of writing a book proposal, the major elements of a book proposal, and tell you how it's going to help you get started on your book project. Behind me here, I've listed the major elements of a book proposal, and I'm going to start with the title page. It may not look like much. Usually it just has the title and subtitle and the author's name, but there's a lot of thought that goes into what goes on that title page. It's the first glimpse that, for example, a publisher gets of your book concept is the title page. So a lot goes into that, and of course, having done all that work, that's going to really help you have a solid concept and get started on your book project. The second major element of a book proposal is the brief description. The brief description is 3 to 5 paragraphs that give your vision for your book project. Now that's really important. It's important for you to be able to talk about and have a clear understanding of what your book concept is. What goes into a brief description is the purpose of your book, the estimated length of your book, the audience you're trying to serve, and if you're pursuing traditional publishing, they always want to know, how quickly can you get this manuscript completed? So all of those things go into a brief description. It's also, and this is perhaps more important than anything else, it's your first writing sample. We're going to get to the actual writing sample down here, but this really does serve as your first writing sample. It's the first thing that a publisher, if you're pursuing traditional publishing, it's the first bit of writing that we see from you. We actually get to experience you as a writer, hear your voice, and so on. So that brief description is going to help you encapsulate your concept for yourself if you're self-publishing, and for a publisher if you're pursuing traditional publishing. The third major element of a book proposal is the chapter-by-chapter synopsis. This is where you go through a process of brainstorming all the different ideas, themes, stories, principles that you'd like to include in your book, and you start to build an architecture for your book. And once you have each of those chapters described, and you do that with 3 to 5 sentences per chapter, once you have those in front of you, you can easily see where the gaps are in your logic, or what are the things that are missing, or how do things need to be reordered to make more sense. The fourth major element of a book proposal is your bio. Now, you're writing a book. You might be wondering, why do I need to write my bio? It's important to be able to establish your credibility for your readers. It's important to be able to do that for yourself if you're self-publishing, to be able to talk about yourself as an authority for the topic on which you're writing. But it's especially important if you're pursuing a traditional publishing contract. You need to be able to establish your credibility on that topic for publishers. And of course, publishers want to know things like what your interests are, what your passions are, what your main vocational role is, a little about your family, a little about your hobbies and interests. The thing to remember about a traditional publishing contract is that they're really business partnerships. When a publisher signs a contract with an author, they are entering into a business agreement. And so as an author, you're a business partner, and the publisher wants to know about its business partners. It wants to know, can you be trusted? What are the things you've accomplished already? So all of that is very important. When you begin to think about your book concept, it's important to think about your bio ahead of time. The fifth major element of a book proposal is the marketing section. And again, you might be thinking, hey, I'm writing a book. Why do I need to figure out the marketing ahead of time? It's really important to be thinking about the marketing as early in the process as you can, so that once that book is completed and published, you have a strategy in place to get it out to as many people as possible. The important thing about starting early on in the process, starting your marketing development early on, is that once you have a strategy in place, you're that much more likely to be able to improve on that strategy as you're writing the manuscript. Then finally, the sixth major element, the final element of your book proposal, is the writing sample. And if you're pursuing traditional publishing, let me just point out that these 5 elements are all prologue to the writing sample. I can't tell you how many proposals I've reviewed working for a major trade publisher where all of this looks pretty good. You know, I'm reading along and I'm thinking, this is a great concept and this is a decent bio. And I get to the writing sample and it's like the wheels fall off. This is what we're actually considering sending out into the world. So you want to make sure that your writing sample is really, really strong. So those are all the major elements of a book proposal. And as I've said, the main reason to write a book proposal before you begin writing the book is because it's a great way to get started. But there's one more reason to consider writing a book proposal, and that is that it could lead to a book contract. The whole process within any book publisher, in the vast majority of cases, starts with a book proposal. So as we come to the end of this video, I have a question for you. What's the title and subtitle that you're kicking around for your own book project? I would love to hear what those titles and subtitles are, give you my thoughts about them. If you want to say a little more about your vision for your book, I'd love to read that and give you my own thoughts about those ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to click the Facebook like button if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the 3rd video where we talk about this whole tug of war between self-publishing and traditional publishing. What are the pros and cons of either, and how do you choose which option to pursue? Thanks.